Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. These are my top 15 favorite Halloween palettes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today I'm going to be recommending my top 15 Halloween palettes. I already did fall palettes a couple of weeks ago. What did I do? I did grungy palettes last September. There's going to be overlap, I just know. And one of these palettes is on my eyeballs today. So if you want to know what palette I used to create this look, because it's very orange, it's very pumpkin, let's just chat about these 15 palettes because we have a lot to talk about. Before I get to the eyeshadow palettes though, I do have to point out that a lot of these are going to be by indie brands, and whenever I want to buy an indie brand palette, I usually now use MONOLITH, which is a which is an EU-based retailer that stocks a lot of indie brands in one place. So if you're in the EU, it makes it super easy to shop from. They now also ship to the UK, and I am affiliated with them. So there's going to be a little bit of a code here. If you want to get 5% off of your order, then you can. And I just received an email the other day that next week, on Sunday, the 19th of October, they're going to have their next drop already, which is super exciting. I don't really have much of a clue yet what they're going to be stocking. I think in the next week on Instagram, they're going to be teasing some things. And what they always tend to do as well is a couple of days before the new drop, they will have a separate launch page where they will have all the new products listed in one place that they are restocking or that are brand new in. So around the days of the drop though, the code isn't active, just so you know, but I just received the email the other day and I was super excited to see that. But yeah, many of these palettes you'll be seeing here today, I purchased or received from MONOLITH, just to be fully transparent here. I'm just gonna start in the back because the first three palettes I want to share with you are incredibly logical because it's the horror movie inspired palettes that Glamlite does. This is why there's 15. So many brands have been doing like horror inspired or like fantasy inspired sort of color stories, and I feel like all of those can go, so that's why there's quite a few palettes here. I personally don't celebrate Halloween though. It's not a thing where I live, but if you were and it's spooky season I don't need any excuse to be chatting about eyeshadow palettes, of course, but yeah, if I do want to have an excuse to be chatting about eyeshadow palettes, I thought this could be a nice one. So it's the Chucky Crazy in Love by Glamlite, which is this beautiful sort of bloody yet gray-leaning color story. It's cool-toned, it's dark, it's mysterious, it's glammy, but then you have those really beautiful burgundy and wine colors in here. Chef's kiss. It is an absolutely stunner of a palette. This was a Valentine's Day release though, but I feel it's perfect for the Halloween season as well. I love the cool tones in here. I get really good crease shades in here, which is why, even though this is quite deep, I have a crease shade for every sort of color story that's in here, so I can do some versatile looks with it, which is why it works for me and why I adore this thing so much. If you're looking for reviews and like swatches and things, I do have those up on the channel as well. Just go to the main page of the channel and then use the search bar to type in the name of the palette and the word review and you'll find it. I'm not a fan of putting swatches in every single video. This is not a video to get you to buy things, because some of these are discontinued as well. It's just to share the love for makeup, and maybe if you have these and you are going to a Halloween party that you're like, oh yeah, wait, I still have that palette. Something I almost decluttered and then I was like, I shouldn't. This is the Friday the 13th Camp Crystal Lake palette. And it's perfect. It's the reds for me that push this into the Halloween vibes. If it didn't have the reds, it was just a fall color story, right? Am I the only one who's seeing that? But we've got some really nice neutrals here. We have these like olivey green things, then we have these gray leaning greens, blues, and then reds with the black. It's really stunning. There's quite a lot of shimmers in this palette, which is why I like it. It's not a color story I tend to reach for a lot, but I do really appreciate what this palette has to offer, and it is quite unique in my collection, which is why I decided to keep it around. And it's just really handy to have it for videos like this. And then, of course, Ghostface lives. This is the first Ghostface palette they did. I think there is a second one out, and I think there's going to be like a Hannibal collection. I haven't seen the images yet as I'm filming this, but there's supposed to be like a new Glamlite, like horror-inspired release for Halloween. So I'm going to be including that in my November new makeup releases for sure. But this, if you love your cool tones, this is beautiful. It's gray. It's quite light. So a lot of things that I like that most other people in makeup don't always like. It has some duochrome shimmers in. It's really beautiful. And here again, like you have like renditions of like blue tone grays and a little bit of green leaning grays, and you have actual grays, and some of them have a bit of a purple undertone. So that's what I appreciate with this palette. It's sort of like Natasha Denona Xenon, but then with more shimmers. That's how I feel. Or like different shimmers, I should say. But it's beautiful. A discontinued palette that I just knew I still had to include is the Club Nebula by Kaleidos and Angelica Nukvist. This was limited edition years ago. It's almost illegal that I still have this, but look at these colors. Look at these colors. How perfect is this for Halloween, especially this like brighter, almost neon yellowy green. Chef's kiss. And I definitely think if you were to combine some of the reds with the purples and the greens, you're going to get a stunning Halloween look. I think it's especially in the mattes in this palette that pushes me, this palette for me, into Halloween vibes. And this palette just needs a mention, and it needs a little bit of more showcasing because she's beautiful. It's an absolute stunner of a palette, and I'm so glad I got it. I'm usually not someone who buys a lot of the collabs that creators do with a lot of makeup brands. But this one was very much well worth it, and I still rate it very highly in my makeup collection. Shall we do what's on my face today? This is actually a little bit of a sneak peek because I'm still testing this palette out. This was the final look I still had to do, but this palette will be in my October palette review, and it's the Bonfire by Glaminatrix. This was kindly gifted to me by MONOLITH, so I'm really stunned. Like, I'm really stoked that I got to try it because this color story, when it was when it released, I was like, yeah, the greens, we all know, up my street. These neutrals, of course, up my street. The orange tones in the middle, maybe not so much. And yet that's the look we're serving today. I just used this quad here in the middle, and I was like, as I was putting these looks together, I realized that this palette reminds me of fireworks. It's so beautiful on the lid. I did have a little bit of creasing, especially with this green shade here. This didn't crease as much, and I'm looking to see how much this one will crease that I've got all over the lid today. But yeah, it's really beautiful. You get a sort of like duochrome sort of shimmering shade with two mattes and a very sparkly, lighter toppery sort of thing to round out the look. I've used most of those in the inner corner highlight as an inner corner highlight. It's absolutely beautiful, and this is indeed the same formula as in the what's it called? Crown Legacy. So MONOLITH did a collab palette with Glaminatrix, but I tested that one out already as well. That's going to be in my October review too. But yeah, I just like, this is such a good October Halloween inspired color story that I couldn't leave it out. If you are in the UK and you celebrate Guy Fawkes Night in early November, this is another one. This is another one. Like, if that's something that you like wanna, like, it's very much that, I feel. So yeah, I'm still testing that one out. So that one I don't have any swatches for yet, but those are still coming. I thought we need to have a murky green palette in here as well, and I wanted to have as many different brands in here as possible. Undergrowth by Cosmic Beauty. You could have picked the Mel Gemini as well in here, but I think if you're really looking for those swampy sort of greens, this is really good for Halloween as well. Like, if you want to go like, what was that palette that Mel did last year with the horror movie characters? They did, I felt it was very much this vibe. Like, it's sort of like, I know this is gonna sound gross, but this reminds me of like slime and like those, it has those kind of shades, you know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to feature this one. I don't have that Melt palette that I can't think of at the minute right by now. So just so you know why I'm not showcasing that, I don't own it. Was it Creature of the Black Lagoon? I think that's what it was called. It looked beautiful, but it was too similar to things I already owned in my collection, so that's why I didn't pick it up. If we're doing dark mermaid vibes, Blend Bunny's Beauty Below palette. And I looked at the color story and I was like, yeah, this is really beautiful. Again, I think that if you want to do something a little bit more whimsical for Halloween, this can be a beautiful palette. I really rate the formula in here as well. For once, we were getting a little bit more shimmer-wise from Blend Bunny than in other palettes, because in each, like for me, this works in quads, and in each quad you have 2 shimmers. The only shimmer I thought was a bit matte was this pink tone right here, but the rest is beautiful. It came together really well, and it looks really dark in the pan, but on my lids I was able to make it work beautifully. So I really rate this palette really highly as well, and for Halloween I think it is a fun sort of murky color story to play around with. Of course, if you've been with my channel for the past couple of weeks, you know how much I love this palette. This is the Poison Garden from Bella Beauty Bar. I think I'm going to be selecting this as a palette to go back to for November, because I'm just recommending it in every single video and I just want to do more looks with it. But this, it's grungy, it's fall. I mean, it's got the pumpkin vibes, but then it also has these really, like, it's sort of like Sleepy Hollow in a palette. Stop. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful, and that's why I had to feature it here. Yet again, we all know I love the Poison Garden by Bella Beauty Bar. This palette I tried last year, and it really put Bella Beauty Bar on the map for me. So now I'm like testing out so many other things by them, and I've been loving every single thing I've tried. So no matter which Bella Beauty Bar palette you get, I think you'll enjoy it. But this has all the spooky vibes. I mean, the cool tones at the bottom, the bright pop of blue. I think you can do so much with it. So yeah, Poison Garden for me, beautiful Halloween palette. Yes, of course. If you were waiting for a Nomad sort of release that was done for Halloween, I decided to go with the original because the Haunted Europe to me is still the quintessential Halloween spooky palette. We have the changing picture on the front. I still think that's really fun. Here again, those pumpkin vibes, but we also have like cooler tone neutrals and like brighter pops of colors in here. Beautiful for Halloween as well. So many beautiful looks you can do with it. It's perfect for fall, even if you're like in a country like I am where Halloween isn't really a thing. Like, it's just not a universal thing here that's celebrated. But the Haunted Europe, I think, can give you many different looks, not just spooky looks. You can also do more like glamorous looks for the fall season if you'd want to. And then this was sent to me in PR by MONOLITH last year. This is one of the first things they ever sent to me, and it's the Wicked Widow Beauty Tales of Terror or Haunting. This wasn't something I was going to pick up with my own money initially, but now that I've tested it out, I was like, wowza, this is really good quality makeup. It also has those really vibrant oranges that the Bonfire has that I'm wearing on my lids today. So if you guessed this palette was on my lids, I wouldn't blame you, because it has very similar shades in. But where the Bonfire has the greens with the cool tones and the fiery stuff, this has the fiery stuff, but then with purples and murky greens and sort of grungy bronzes, I would call them. Stunning. This shade especially is absolutely gorgeous, and I really enjoy the way the greens and the purples in this palette play together. I've said many times that from now on I would probably be ignoring this orange and just use the rest of the palette, because those shades all work for me. But it's beautiful. You can do an all brown look with this if you want to, because you can very easily like stick to these 4 shades. And you've got a look. You can do an all purple look with this. You can do all green, or you can sort of like crisscross and make little like contrasting color stories out of this. So it was a surprise to me how versatile this actually was, because it had those bright oranges, I had written it off completely like straight away. Same thing with the Bonfire. Actually, I do not gravitate naturally to bright oranges like this, but then sometimes I put those looks on and I'm like, I do really like it. I think it's because I have brown eyes that it still kind of works, but yeah, for me, the Wicked Widow Beauty, a Tales of Terror, a Haunting, was much more successful than I had anticipated, and it's great for spooky fall season. Also a release from last year for Halloween. I can't wait to see what Fantasy Cosmetica does. I think I now know what the collab is. It's with Beauty Bean, or Butte Bean. What's her name? Betty Bean. I never know. She's changed her name too many times for me to know what she's called again. But that's their new collab, and it's the Witch's Companion, I think it's called. I haven't really seen a color story yet, though. But that one is definitely one where I'm like, if that's a monolith with the next drop, I might be getting it. I might be getting it. But this is the Harvest of Souls. This was Fantasy Cosmetica's release last year for the Halloween season, and I think it's beautiful. It just the teals. This corner is where it's at for me. But I also quite enjoy these like goldy sort of shades. And then of course you have the purples and you have the greens. You can do purples and greens together. Purple and green are opposites on the color wheel. But I also like how the blues really nicely complement the purples in here. And these shades complement the greens in here as well. So again, you can stick to the little quads with this if you want to. But you could also mix and match these quite easily, which is what I appreciate. And this was the Fantasy Cosmetica formula that I enjoyed again, so I haven't really purchased anything from Fantasy Cosmetica this year, so maybe I need to make a change with that new collab palette that they're doing. I might. I'm not sure yet. I haven't seen the color story yet, so but this looks absolutely stunning, and I think it's perfect for Halloween. Of course, very much discontinued, but Michelou's Witchcraft palette. I think I did this video last year as well. This probably popped up too. I still think this is one of the best color stories. I'm still waiting for someone to do something like this. These dark greens with like these purpley reddish tones. So stunning. It's got a duochrome. This brand is no longer around, so it's going to be very difficult to find this. So I'm only going to be showing the Michelou Witchcraft palette for a hot minute in this video, but you know, I love this one. I do love this one. So a palette that I didn't love, but that I do still think fits the theme very well. The Bitten palette for Gourmand Girls. Gourmand Girls is another brand that does a lot of like spooky inspired color stories, I feel. This I think was a Valentine's Day release. I think it was. But this looked beautiful. It does have like these like reddish tones in here, loads of purple, some gray tones. There are some beautiful things in here. For me, the color story didn't quite come together. So I felt like, for instance, something like this is then like quite pink leaning almost. And then it didn't really blend into anything else. I thought that this had a slight green undertone, but then I think that's just because of the background of the palette. And then on my lid, it was just a straight up gray. So for me, there were a couple of things here that I didn't love undertone wise. For me, it's really important that the undertones in the palette mix and match really well, and I felt that wasn't the case with this, but it's still a beautiful palette, and I think that Gourmand Girls as a brand does a lot of stunning palettes that, if you're looking for a good Halloween-inspired palette, it's a brand to look out for, I feel. A palette that is a little bit brighter than most of the options that I've shown you so far is my Feral palette from Menagerie Cosmetics. Not sure this is still around, but this is beautiful. It's a rainbow palette without being necessarily a standard rainbow palette. It has neutrals up in the top with this bright pop of teal. You get some pinks, a purple, a red, a yellow, and then loads of greens. It does only have 3 shimmers, which is a bit of a shame. They're beautiful shimmers though. And again, I love how this gives you all the fairy sort of whimsical inspired looks that you could possibly do. I love the greens with the pinks. I love the neutrals with the teal. I very often will blend the red and the yellow to make an orange to like have it with the neutrally tones or with these pinky tones. And also the purple can be mixed with the blue. Like it's a bit like a painter's palette, I feel, where it's very sort of customizable with the shades that are already in here because everything just plays together so well. This is such a good, well-curated color story. And I think I love it for that reason. It's one of the very few very bright, colorful palettes that I still have in my makeup collection, and it's one that's truly stood the test of time. So that just goes to show, again, I'm not sure whether this is still available, but if you still have this, these pans are also humongous, so they give you a lot of product. So especially if you're going to do like some special look, like all over your face, these shadows will not run out. You could actually do it and manage just fine. And then finally, Unearthly Cosmetics, the Lore palette. I saw that this was still on their website, which surprised me. But I think this is beautiful. It's mythology inspired, of course, but in here, I think you get some shades that are perfect for Halloween time as well. I'm especially, again, thinking of the orange and the yellow that are in here. But these, like, pinky tones, they're berries, but they do have some sort of, like, deeper quality to them. So you can very easily mix and match. It's got a really good, outstanding black, which I think is beautiful. And for some reason, like, if I had to do some sort of skull makeup, I would probably go for this. It just has all the shades that you could possibly want for that sort of vibe, I would say. So Unearthly Lore is another great Halloween palette for sure. So thanks so much for watching me here today. Thumbs up this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more by me. I do talk regularly about eyeshadow palettes in this on this channel, so if that's something you're interested in, then stay tuned. Like I said, I still have an eyeshadow palette review coming for you by the end of October, and every single month I also try to go back to some palettes. And this month, super excited, I actually managed to create some single palettes, like my own little palettes with singles I have. And I'm really looking forward to putting some looks together with those as well. So stay tuned for more eyeshadow goodness, and I hope to see you again really, really soon in a new video. Bye-bye.